Hello everybody. Michi here, and today I'm going to see how I'm going to see how possible it is to make this video as short as possible without skipping on the details. So we are going to be talking about the NLA in Blender, the non-linear animation, and then we'll also talk about Mixamo animations, and um, we will briefly talk about 3D AI um, generation. So let's get this started. I think let's get familiar with NLA to start with. Um, so I am going to let me add a cube, okay, and I will be upward. It's just me trying to reduce it so that this will be tangible. Okay, I'll apply this scale. All right, so now we have a basic cube and a couple of things. So when we make animations here in Blender, when we make animations in Blender, let's say I make a keyframe now, right, I say a keyframe on everything. Maybe on frame 40, I move to my right GX and I move again I. So I basically have an animation here. Okay. But what we don't know is sometimes things have happened under the cover that Blender has automatically done for us. So if I undo these two animations now, these two keyframes rather, and I open up a new panel and I call this the dope sheet. Okay, or I'm not calling it, I open up the dope sheet and change this dope sheet to action editor. I'm going to undo those deletes that I made. So immediately I make a keyframe. You can see here, this is my timeline. This is my action editor right now. It's empty. Now when I make that keyframe again, watch what happens in the action editor here. When I make the keyframe select the cube. When I press I, now you can see that it has made an action for us, a cube action. Right, so just ignore this for now. Sometimes you may want to add other things into this action editor. It's a new feature in Blender 4. I believe 3 or 4.2, one of them. But yeah, we have a new action now. So to better understand this, let me just make an example here. This looks just like a container for our material. So if we're going to make a material here, you could do new, right? And then you have access to changing your materials. All right. So here I could press new, right? And it will make a new action and then it will be able to store my animations. So that is what Blender is doing automatically for us here. So when I make a keyframe it has made a new action for us, right? And then it can now store our animation data inside. All right. So I said here, when I do this, so let me just undo this again. And then I'm going to open a new, I know we are opening new panels right now, but I'm going to open another panel here. And this is going to be called our NLA, the non-linear animation. So I'm going to do the same thing now. Right now, there's no animation on my cube. So on my first frame, I'll make my keyframe I. So watch, here is empty. Here is empty. I say new. Right, so when I click I to make my keyframe, you can see it has made an action called cube action for us. We have our animation now. And then, rather, we have a keyframe now. And then we have I believe it's called a slot. A strip rather. I forgot what the technical name for this is. It's a track rather. So we have tracks here and we have slots in here, or vice versa, or strips rather. A track and a strip. Okay, so it has made a new strip for us in here, and the strip is called, the track rather is called the cube action. So if I, so all of this is happening under the cover. So anytime you're making animations in Blender, anything at all, when you make your keyframe I, right? I, and then you go elsewhere and you do something I. This is what we see, right? But under the cover, Blender has already made an action for us, and then it is just lingering somewhere in the NLA. I'm using the word lingering because there's something we have to do to be able to use this. So what exactly is this NLA? This NLA helps us work with animation like it is a, video um um block. So if you've worked on anything, if you worked on any video editing software or even photos in a video editing software, you'll be able to see exactly what I'm talking about. So I'll get to that in a minute. So let me confirm if I like this. Okay, I've not made any keyframe. Let me undo this. On frame 40, I want to move this GX. Here is fine. Why is it not snapping? GX. Okay, here is fine. Then I'm going to press I. So right now we have this animation. Okay, this animation. Very good. So instead of just letting this ride out this way, I'm going to give this action a name. I'm going to call this move move right. All right, move right. So now we have this. This may feel like overkill because why do we have two things that look like timeline, right? For the most part, we only need this top of this action editor. For the most part, right now we only need that part, but I'm just going to go to leave it open. So now we have our move right, and you will notice here that it has changed to move right. If I undo it, you can see it's cube action, cube action. After naming it, move right is here. Sometimes when you name it, it won't show here, it will show up in here. But in time, you see that. Okay, so why is NLA important? So by the time you're done making your animations, when time you're done making your animations, there is an option to push down. All right, there's an option to push down. So if I push down this action now, if I push down this action, we are no longer going to have access to the keyframes in the timeline unless you do something else. All right. So when we push it down, these keyframes disappear, but the action is still there. So watch what happens now when I push it down. You can also do it in the action editor. If you go to action, go to push down, it's going to do the same thing. If I push it down, now we have our move right animation here. Our animation in this timeline has cleared up, it's now empty, right? But the thing is, when I scroll, you can see it is moving, but I can't see any keyframes here. There are no keyframes here, but the object is still moving, right? That's because we have packaged all the animations, all the keyframes, we packaged them into this action. So watch what happens now when I move this, because this is how you can edit. I'm sure you've edited Instagram clips in edits, or you've used CapCut videos or DaVinci Resolve or Premiere Pro or something, right? You can move clips. So watch what happens when I move my playhead. Nothing is going to happen until my playhead touches move right, and then it's going to start playing, right? So we have this. We have the ability to, it's going to play, and then nothing's going to happen until we get to move right. So this is how you can make animation actions, and then you have more access to editing them in here. So I'm going to do one thing now. The same way we can untick a collection in here to hide it, in here in the NLA, we can untick this. All right, untick it to make sure that it's not going to play. All right, but I'm also please note that if your playhead is anywhere and you untick, your object is going to be stuck there. So I usually just like to untick it when it is not having any effect at all here at the beginning, and then now we have this. So now we can make a new animation without anything happening. Let's say I make an animation where the object is going up. So now this doesn't have an effect. I'm going to make a new animation action. So I it has made an action for us. And then on frame 40, I want it to go up. From frame 40, I want it to go up GZ. And press I. I'll just I everywhere. Alright. So now we have this. The object is going up. So just like the last time, I called that one move right. I'll call this one move up. Move up. Okay. And then I'm going to push this one down as well. Move this one down. So I pushed it down, and then I no longer have access to my keyframes here, but I can play and it moves up. Right, so you can see that it's starting to form like a layer-based system here. It's starting to form like a layer-based system, but the one on top right now is covering the one underneath. Okay, so let's see what happens when I untick this one. Move right when I untick it, or rather when I open it up. So these two are now playing, but now when I scroll, move right should be happening because my playhead is on it, and this one nothing is happening here. But look, move up happens. So the beauty of the NLA is it helps us combine animations together. So when I press N on in my NLA panel here, N, and I select either of these. So I'm going to select move up. There are a couple of things we can do. First of all, let's go to the simplest one. When I move back my move up to the same place, they're both starting at the origin here. I can change this blending from replace to combine. So when I change it to combine, now watch what happens. The object is going to move up and also move to the right. So it's combining both move right and then move up. Can you see that? So it is combining both of them into one animation. Right? So I want you at this point to maybe pause the video and try this out. Okay? Try this out. Okay, so if you're back, now let us try some other things. So let us get more. So if I move up here, I don't want it to start moving up immediately. I want it to travel to the right first before it goes up. You can see that. So now it is. Can you see that? So it goes to the right for a little bit. Okay, it goes to the right for a little bit before it starts moving up and also going to the right. And then at this point, it stops moving to the right. It just keeps going up now. All right. So we have this. Okay, so there are some instances where, especially when we have bones, when amateurs are involved, hold hold nothing and hold forward. They have their uses. So sometimes in these cases, when a bone is involved in this, right now we are animating at the object level. So if we're animating at the amateur level, the pose mode, sometimes where you have an animation like this and then it is on top an animation here, but you also want this one down to play. Sometimes just changing it to combine may not work, so you will have to press hold forward, meaning everything before this right now should play, and then by the time this one comes, everything after it moving forward, I want this to control it. So I don't know if you understand what I'm saying. So let me start from the beginning. Nothing means, so if you had an animation that's stretched out, just give me a minute. We are not going to go fully into the entirety of what the NLA can do, but sorry, let me just say. So let's say we had a lower animation that looked this long. So nothing here would mean if you are blending this with nothing. So we are saying right now in this space here, in this space empty here, we are going to play move right. So move right is going to play, and then by the time move up comes, we are going to play move up plus move right, and then by the time move up ends, move up is no longer going to have an effect. So it means wherever this move up is not, do nothing. So if move up is not there, don't do anything. That's what nothing means. But now hold means you can see the color has changed. So look at nothing. You can't see any yellow highlight here anymore. If I change this to hold, now you can see there's a yellow highlight in, or rather orange highlight in the beginning and at the end. So it is literally going to control everything. And then for hold forward, you can see there's no longer an orange highlight in the beginning. So it is only going to control wherever move up is plus the end. All right, so that is a very quick hack to understanding what the NLA does. So to put this in use, we could have. I'm going to undo what I did a couple of minutes ago. So this is move right. I'm going to remove move up. Okay, I'm going to remove move up. It's still there in the animation, but this is our move up. So there are ways to get into the animation keyframes if you pushed it down. So when I press tab, I can edit the action. I can edit the animation inside the action. And I press tab again, it will close. That's just like going in and out of edit mode in your what's it called, your viewport here. Okay, so I'm going to do something really quickly. We are going to just do a tiny bounce. So I'm just going to have my, I think I'll do it in move up, in the move up animation. So I will go here, go to move up. All right, so in this move up animation, we have this. I think I want to copy this, put it on 20. And then on 40, I want to bring this one back. So I did Ctrl C here, and then I pasted it in here. So what we have is this. Okay, so I will quickly select all my keyframes. Control tab to get into my graph editor. And I'm quickly going to change, so, and I'm saying a lot of quicklies. Yeah. So I'm going to change my vector handle V, my handle type rather, to vector. Now change this one also to vector. And then we have this. Okay, bounce. I think I want it to be quicker. So I could scale this to on my x-axis. Why are you? Is this V? Yeah. Let me see. Right now I can play this. I'm tempted to add a little bit of squash and stretch, but I don't want to make this any more complicated than this. So right now all we have is 3 keyframes. The base, like when it's on the floor, when it's in the air, and then back on the floor. So I don't need to make this 20 frames. Bounce. I don't need to make this 20 frames. So for just to make sure that everything, I think I want this to end on 20. So I'll select and I'll scale down so we have this on 20. And now this. Let's see. Okay, then I'll make some edits to my this and I'll change it back to vector. Rather, change this to automatic. What was it before? I think it was in aligned. Alright, so let's just change everything to aligned first. Then I'm going to copy this last keyframe, Ctrl C, and paste it on the first. Give me a minute. Let me see. This, Ctrl C, paste it here. Giving me an error, so I'm just going to do it manually. I don't want this to This is not something we want to spend time on. We may not want this high. GZ. So we have bounce, bounce, bounce. Okay. Z, Y rather. XX. Like this. Okay. So let's just assume this is a very short bounce. We could have added some squash, we could have done some extra bits here. But now we have 20 frames worth of animation in. I'm going to change this move up to, I'm going to call it bounce. All right. I'll call it bounce. And it's still going to show move up here, but eventually when we push it down, I think when we push it down, we have our bounce animation. So just ignore this move up for now. So now we have our bounce, and then bounce is set to replace. So by the time I turn on move right, when I change it to combine, we'll see that we can bounce forward. Okay, bounce forward and move right. Right? Bounce forward and move right. Now, there are ways to get this bounce to keep happening. We could have done this in the graph editor, right? But we can also repeat it here, I believe. So if I repeat this, if I put repeat 4 times, we are going to bounce, bounce, bounce. So ignore, let me turn this one up. Let me turn move right up. If I bounce, keep bouncing, keep bouncing. If I want this to bounce 12 times, I can literally just press that and then bounce, 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 bounce. Right, it's just gonna keep happening. So now for move right, I can move this right. Okay. But you can see that at this point here, after this, it goes back to the origin because there's no longer any animation at the bottom. So there are a couple of ways to get ahead of this. So the easiest way, I believe, is to press tab to edit this move right animation. Now we are going to go to where this animation ends. I believe that's 229. And then we are going to move this keyframe there. Control C, Control V. Then I'll delete this one. Okay. So now it's going to keep moving. Let me press tab to exit. So you can see now this move right is now long enough to get there. So now when I move, I'm moving gradually. So let me change the distance that right is traveling. If I move this one up, let me make it go farther than this place. So if I do GY, it's going to keep. Okay. So tab again. So we have bounce. So in here, I don't want any bezier. I don't want any interpolation. Any bezier interpolation rather. I want to make it linear. So now it's just going to happen on the same speed. So we have this bounce, bounce, bounce. So just from making one single bounce, we've been able to continually bounce this ball and move it in different directions. Okay. So if we also wanted to make an animation where if this was a more complex rig where we had hands, eyes, legs, we could do a character walking in one keyframe, walking on a spot, right, which is essentially what we are going to do today. And then we could now add a translation and action where the object is moving in different spaces, right? And we could also add another layer where the character is turning, bending, laughing, something, right? So that way we could stack up animation layers without necessarily making hard coded changes to our animation strips. All right. So I would love if you guys could um try this, right? So if it's too fast for you, I believe YouTube has ways of slowing this down. Um So yes, essentially what we did was bounce. I increased the bounce. I scroll down here and increase the playback scale to what's it called, to 12. And then I said this was the easiest way, right? Changing this to giving it a new value, like going in here and then moving it. But there is a more advanced way for people that are skilled with their graph editor. Let's see, it's not going to work. So let me just undo what I did. I've been trying to do some undos, but it's not. I don't think my Blender history is good enough for there. So I'll just Ctrl C, Ctrl V, then I delete this. So we have, okay. So it stops there. So this is where we were before I said that was the easy way. Now there's also something you can do in the graph editor here. So if I go into tab, now I have access to the keyframes. So let's go into, I'll press Control Tab to get into my graph editor. I'm saying Control Tab because you can also do this graph editor, right? Control Tab. So this is my red channel. We are moving right. So I'm going to hide everything except my X location, right? So Shift X, Shift H rather, Shift H. So I'm going to change this like I did already. I'll change this to linear. And so there's something called extrapolation. Let me see if I can. Let me see if I can. Um, I may have forgotten exactly where. I think it's Shift E. So where is it here? Shift E. I probably have forgotten where to find it. Shift E, yes, extrapolation mode. So we could make this. We could make this. Let's see, linear. So when we make it linear, you can see that the keyframe is not ending here. So if I undo, right? So right now, what this meant was that when the object bounced and then we got to this 40, it just stops, right? So if we do Shift E and then we change it to linear, okay? So although it's going to stop here, if we increase the size of this, if we increase the length of this, and how do we increase that? We can make the frame end not on 40, but we just can just increase the length. So as you see here, as we are increasing this end, is increasing here. So before you make any mistakes, I'm just going to do Shift E and then let's see, Shift E and change it back to the original extrapolation we had. So right now, if you had Shift E and then we just increase the length, it's going to stop here. Let me increase this. Let me make this end on. Let's make it end at. This is 229, I believe. So 229. So right now, it's just going to do this and then get stuck here because this is what is happening in the graph editor. So it's moving one and then it keeps moving forward until we get to frame 40 and then nothing is happening. Okay, so don't be confused by what's happening here. Let me Right. Okay, so why nothing is happening here? Sorry, Shift E, tab, tab. Sorry, I'll be back. Okay, move right. We wanted to change this. Sorry, I'm back now. So yeah, we're saying move right, do this. I increase this to 229. Okay. So now move right is ending on frame 229, and so is this as well. Don't worry, bounce is 20, but we've already increased the repeat. That's why you can see this line. So it stops here and then repeats and it keeps repeating. So for this, we are ending on 229. And so when it does this, it's going to get stuck here because after 40, there is no keyframe. Okay. So if you change this keyframe here, this one, to extrapolate linearly, it's just going to continue on that straight line continuously. All right. So, sorry, undo. No active strips to this. Let me change this back to 29 and let's see what happens. It's going to keep going. All right. Okay, so just so that there are no confusions here, I'm going to reduce this repeat back to 1, and then I'm going to make this move right the original length of its animation. So I'm going to Alt H all of this. So originally, if I turn off move up, I turn off move up. Originally, we just had move right. Okay, that's it. Move right, frame 40 here. Okay, that's this. Move right. So after 40, nothing is happening. Okay, this nothing is because we changed it here. We hold forward. Right. So after 40, it stays there. So you can start this. You can start it out this way. So you can do your move right. Right. We're going to the right. Um. Then we also have another bounce animation. So now when we combine these two, we are going to have move right and bounce. Okay, move right and bounce. Let me go in. We have move right and bounce at the same time. It's changing positions. But to get more bounces, we want to repeat this same animation from the beginning. So we want to repeat from this beginning. That's why we are using repeat here. Repeat. Um, we used 12 before. Let's see what happens when we use playback scale. So we are making the animation slower or faster. That's what I believe. Let me see. Right. So the playback scale is changing the speed of the animation, but I think I'm fine with 1. Right. So this speed, or maybe 1.5. Let's see what happens in 1.5, 1.2 maybe. Right. Or I think I'll just have it at 1 so that there are no complications. This. Okay, so now for this move right, the easier way I showed you before was just to get to the end of this 229 here and make a keyframe of the object moving farther in time. Okay, but I said you can also do something else. In this keyframe, I can do my control tab, get into my graph editor, and I'll hide everything except the one I want to control, this. So by default, it is on constant extrapolation. So that means after this, it just gets stuck here. But then if I go to Shift E again, when I select this and I press Shift E and I make it linear, it's going to continue in that same speed that I've already set for it. So now when I make sure that this ends on 229, we have this bounce that will keep going as long as we want. So please experiment with this. And there are other things in here that we can actually play with. We'll talk about blending in and blending out by the time we have like our animation data from Mixamo. So how many minutes has this been already? I cannot tell. About 32 minutes. Crazy. All right. Okay, so right now, let's just briefly talk about AI and 3D mesh generation. So I will open up my browser. Obviously, I'm not going to do all this typing in real time because that will take a while. But let's say this is a concept art. This is a concept script I was making for in preparation of this class. So I just told ChatGPT. I literally just said concept art of a Nigerian boy in Pixar style. A pose. Make this prompt better. So forgive me if my texts are going to be having errors or anything. But yeah. So it gave me this style. This is ChatGPT, by the way. Let me close my this ChatGPT, by the way. And then we have this same Pixar style concept of a young Nigerian boy standing in a pose, blah 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 blah. And then I say character keeps tilting. Should I add for rigging in the prompt? Right. So just having a conversation generally with ChatGPT. I hope we all know how to use ChatGPT at this point because I hope the laughter tells you everything you need to know. Okay. So now I eventually played around with some of the prompting and I got something to work. So I used Pixar style concept, blah, 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 blah. I think I would add this to either the description or to be in the text somewhere for the video. But I use this, um, you may want to take a screenshot of it. But yeah, this was what I used. Pixar style concept art of a young Nigerian boy in an orthographic front A pose. Da da da. Character stands perfectly upright and symmetrical. The symmetricity of the Okay, so I said the symmetricity of the objects of the character was kind of in question, but we'll get past that. So right now, this is image effects from Google Labs. I will provide the link in the um, text for this video. I don't know if this will be on a public YouTube or in a doc file or something, but eventually. So this is the prompt I used in image effects, Pixar style concept of a young Nigerian boy in orthographic front. The same thing I eventually used in. So after trying out some things that ChatGPT told me, I made few wearing t-shirt and trousers because it was giving me some results I did not like initially. So when I eventually got something to work that I liked, I just copied it and then I pasted it back here so I would not forget. Okay. So these were the options it gave me. If I try generating again, you see that it give me some other options. That's why this is not happening in real time. So if I try, although this is what I'm going to use, I think I eventually picked this. If I create again, it's going to give me an entirely different, I think. Let's see. You give me different options. Right. They look similar, and I probably should have even waited to. I should have probably generated these things again. But yeah, this is fine. So you could just generate anything you want, the concept out of it, and this is 10 cents Honyan rather. This is Honyan. I'll also send you the link. Um, so I let me make a new page. Let me 10 cents. Let me go into my saved 10 cents. Okay, so if I let me make a new page for this and then I go into 10 cents onion page. So this is what the page looks like. There's going to be a lot of Chinese. Allow them. There's going to be a lot of Chinese, so just go come up here to this Google Translate here and change it from Chinese to English. Every time it keeps messing up, just do that. So here in this single image, we are going to drag the concept we've downloaded from this page, right? You download, right? And then you're going to drag it into this place, upload an image, and then it will tell you to generate. So I'm not going to do that right now, but let me drag in a picture. Um, Image. So if I dragged in the concept that I used, right? It's trying to process the image. It's a very cool mesh, by the way. It's like a cool mesh. Okay, so this is the image concept that I used, and then it has gone back to Chinese. So I will take it in Chinese and bring it back to English. So it will tell me generate. Do I want to generate? Um, if you want to use any um, animation related mesh, if you want to use any of these meshes for anything animation related, I would suggest you stay away from these high value numbers. 50k is even quite a lot of vertices for a simple character like this. So that is why Tencent gives me Honyan rather gives me a very good mesh. But half the time, for something as simple as this, I would rather we go for triple right now. Why? Because you will see that this is the mesh that triple is giving me. It didn't give me this automatically. Okay, it didn't give me this automatically. So I put in the sorry, what's this? Ultra. That's none of my business. I put in the image and then generated the mesh from the image, right? And then it gave me something quite. You can see even this mesh is not the best looking, not the best looking mesh, but at least it will work for this our experiment today. So now it gave us this mesh, but then it wasn't looking the best. The next thing you do is to come to retopology. All right, you come to retopology and then just retopologize to give you a lower, to give you a somewhat decent looking object. Okay, so this is the one you will now click and then you export. So by the time you're exporting, I like to export it with um, bottom center pivot turned on so that you can see this is the origin of the world right now. The object, the object's torso is in the middle. It's in the middle. We don't want that. We want the origin, object origin to be here. Right. So by the time you're downloading, um, bottom center pivot, turn it on, and then that will lead us into Mixamo. So before we go into Mixamo, I'm going to open up a Blender file. Let me open up Blender, and then I'm going to import that character we downloaded. So I exported it as an FBX. Okay, so this is it. So by the time I go into file, import, FBX, and then I go to my downloads, um, AI mesh. That's what I named it, obviously. Okay, let's see. Okay, so this is our mesh right now. Right, so this is our mesh, and then we are in the solid preview mode. If I click this arrow here and go to textures, why is it not working? I'm gonna run my textures. Give me a minute, it's going to load up now. Why is my Blender? So this Blender is freezing, but I opened it up in Blender before now. Okay, so it's starting to give us the. I'm not sure why it's doing this. I'm sure if I download it again, you know what? I'm just going to download it again. So let me open new file, delete everything. I'm just going to go back to the website. So the thing is, I actually have this file opened up in my Blender here, so I know for a fact that it works. So I'm not sure why it is misbehaving right now. But I'm going to go here, download, turn on center pivot. I'm going to call this 3D model edit or re import. I don't think this has any effect on. I don't think this has any effect on our exports, but I'm just going to do this regardless. Export. It's going to ask us for a name. Is that name eventually that is going to show it in our exports? So right now we are going to download this. Okay, so you can see the re-import here. Save, save. Okay, so let's go back to Blender now. Then we are going to re-import this FBX file. Import FBX. Let me go back into my downloads. Okay, this should be the re-import. Yes, re-import. Import this. Okay, so let's see if this is going to cause any issue. All right, so we have our textures back. All right, so now we have our textures. We didn't need to sculpt anything. Personally, I love to still sculpt my characters because no explanations. I like the hard life. So right now we didn't need to export anything. We didn't need to sculpt anything. We have from our prompt. From our prompt, we got. Sorry, where is my browser? From our prompts on ChatGPT, we used image effects to give us a concept art, and then we used either Honyans. I don't know why this nose is this big. This is slightly racist, largely racist. Or then triple. This mesh is kind of messed up, right? But now we are back in Blender, and this took, I think last night, this took like 30 minutes or so maximum. And that's because I just kept fine tuning things. So now you have the opportunity to maybe clean out some textures in Photoshop. You just take the where is it? Don't freeze up. I have like five Blender files open, and then my OBS, but I still don't see any reason why this should be any difficult. So if you select this, all these images here, you have the you have the whatever to start cleaning them out so that they don't cause any issues. Right, you can decide to clean them out if you want. Where is this part? So it is in here somewhere. This okay, so I think this will be it. So if you go into Photoshop and you cleaned out this portion here, you will fix this mess that we have in here. But all of this is, by the way, this is for when you want to, because mostly we use this for when we want to prototype an animation, just get quick animatics and be done with it. um so one, this should be our front view. So I would recommend that this is three. This object in the center. This object in the center. I am not sure. Okay. But the first thing you want to do is to make sure that in edit mode, this is my front orthographic view. So I'm pressing 1 on my numpad. I think for this blender for my screencast is not on. So I'm pressing 1 in my numpad. So I want to select everything and I want to rotate everything on my Z axis. All right. But if I just do RZ90, the object is tilting away from the origin. Okay, because you see here it's kind of in the origin, but it's using the entire should I call it the bounding box of this object. So if you just rotate it from this origin here, so I'm going to press the period dot, and then I'm going to change the pivot point to the 3D cursor. So when I do RZ90 now, maybe minus so that it will face me. Yes, RZ90 and then minus is going to face me directly. Okay, so that has fixed that. I want to make sure that front is front. That's why I did that. Okay, so now that we have our front, there's also something I like to do when working with this kind of meshes, because the topology it looks fine right now, but some auto riggers may have some issues with it if the vertices are not identical. So right now, if I turn on this and I select a vertex here, so this is the um this is the symmetry here, symmetry tool. If I select this, nothing is happening because it's telling us that these objects are not perfectly symmetrical. So one thing I like to do is to duplicate this. I'll turn this one off. This is just the backup, right? And then what I can do is to add a modifier, add a mirror modifier. Okay, no, this is for the wrong object. I'll select my object, this one, add a mirror modifier. All right. So I'm going to bisect it on the X. So bisect just means any part that is not, any part that we are flipping, any part that we are mirroring, we don't want the other side to be showing. Because right now, one part of the object is showing and then the other part is still mirroring. So bisecting means you're just cutting it. So do we want this side or the other side? Side, what side, what side, what side? I think I want this side. Okay, I think I want this side. So essentially, you can see that what's happening is this red is going this way. So if we flip, if we take half of this, then we take it to the other side, we are going to have a V like this. All right, so this is it here. If we use the other side, that means you're going to take this yellow part here, we're going to cut it this way. And that is what we have here. So we are cutting this. So I'm trying to see if I want the left side or the right side. Either ways, whatever is going to happen now is going to give us something close. So I'm just going to duplicate this so that I won't run into any more issues. This, if I apply this, you can see when I use this symmetry tool now, you can see whatever is happening on one side is happening on the other side because the object is quite symmetrical. All of these are just steps to avoid making errors. Sometimes just taking it this way and putting it in whatever is just fine. Okay. So before we move on from this, let us export. So I'm going to export. Let me even save this as, let's call it, these are paid work. So we'll call this epic. We'll call this animation AI class, right? Or mocap AI. Anything is fine, right? Yes, I'll save this file. And then I'm going to export this, but instead of exporting as an FBX right now, because Mixamo has issues with importing FBX that have images. So I'm just going to export it as an OBJ. We can also use FBX, but we are going to have to turn off some things, which Why not just export it as an OBJ, right? Export an OBJ, and then I'm going to, where should I put this? Let me put this on my desktop. I'll call this AI Pixar Boy. Okay, maybe I will even select. So make sure you turn on include selection only. I'll put this file in your whatever. I'll export this. Okay, so I've exported this boy now, and now I'm going to go into Mixamo. Okay, I'm going to go into Mixamo. Okay, very interesting. Very, very interesting. So give me a minute. Let me sign in, and I'll be back. So Mixamo is back up now. Um, let's wait for it to load completely. Okay, so this is happening because I imported the boy already, but I'm going to do it again, at least this time, real time. I'm going to do this again. So I'll go to upload character, select character file, or we can drag in. So let's see if we can, if you want to drag in my desktop. I'm going to drag in the airpixelboy.obj, not the MTL now, .obj, dragging it in here. Okay. Now that I've dragged that boy, bear in mind, since we are not importing any textures, the character is going to look like this. This is what is going to look like. Alright. So this is our object. So how do we, for best results, have your fingers T-pose, fingers spread apart? I mean, we could have used T-pose in the prompt in here, but this is fine. T-pose. So T-pose will be better when you are making T-shirts like this. So actually a very good notice to have them in T-pose. But this should also work right now. So I'll click on next. On my chain, I'll select the chain of the object, of my character rather. Here is fine. And the wrist, left wrist, this is where I want my wrist to be. The elbows, this is where the elbow should be technically. And the knees, this is where the knees are. And then of the groin, we want the groin, the crotch area here. You have to click on next. So while we wait on this, on Mixamo to rig this character, so it should be done any minute now. So you can see right now, um, Mixamo has rigged this and it seems to be working fine. Proceed with new character. Yeah. Please do that. So this is our character right now. Don't be dismayed by the textures not showing up. Um, so let us test out. Let's see catwalk, turn 180 degrees, da da da. Okay, so let's try something else. See what overdrive does. Sometimes you may want to play with this. See the results you get. So what animations do I want to check out here? Now this is too slow for me. So I think I want the character to stand up from a sitting position. Stand, or maybe I should even put sit. Okay. So this animation looks like squatting. This one is from the floor. Okay, this one is standing from the floor. Sorry, I'm actually lost in thought because I could use. I'm not sure I any one of these could work. So let's just put something together. I will use this so that we may be able to correct some of the things that we want to use. So I'll use standing up here. If I double click on this, all right. So let me see if I can get a T pose first. T pose or an A pose, just something very neutral. So this is going to be what we are going to download. Okay, so you can see that if we had imported the character in a T pose rather, this will have given us better results. All right, so we are just going to have to manage this for now. Please, in your own experiment, please use a T pose for this because T pose are generally better for retargeting animations. Okay. Um. So we are just going to use this. I'm going to download this character right now. I'm going to download the skin. So please bear in mind you're going to take note of all these things. Download with skin. So download with skin means we are downloading this and the body at the same time. Right, we're downloading the rig that we've done in Mixamo, and then we are downloading this mesh itself. So now I'm going to call this we call this AI bot AI boy Pixar AI boy Pixar AI boy. That's PAB, right? So PAB. We'll call this PAB Mixamo T pose. All right. Save. Okay. So that's downloaded. Now let's go back to our standing animation. So I think we wanted to take this. Yeah, this. Okay, so we have this. Um, and then I'm going to download this. I'm going to download without skin, right? Since it's the same character, I'll just download without skin. So without skin means I'm only just downloading the Mixamo rig, rather the Mixamo bones and the animation that comes with them. I'm not downloading this character. So download, right? Without skin, download. The file is going to be even lighter. even though not by much, even though not by much rather. So standing, palm, Mixamo, that this thing has happened. Okay, so I was about to download. I was about to download this animation. So okay, so once again, just give me a few minutes. Okay, so like I said, I want to download this without skin. Download. Download without skin. Call this pub Mixamo standing up. Right. So let us do some walking animations. Let's see. Either walking or running. So we want okay, so in essence we can actually start walking animation. Let's see. Let's see, we could do a start walking. Yeah, so it starts walking from spots. Hmm. We may run into issues when we want to combine this, right? I'll leave that for something more advanced. So when we are walking, when we are walking, there's something called in place when we are working with um animations generally. Sometimes you want to leave them in place so that when we are combining animations later on, we won't struggle with combining different positions in space. So when I'm in Blender, I'll explain more what this means. So instead of having the objects moving around, right, we'll rather just have them move in space so that we can combine them easily. So I think I'm just going to download um, I think I'm just going to download this without skin, obviously. I will see if there's a jumping or just something that has actions in there. So pub, standing, I'll call this walking. Walking. Save. Okay. Is there a waving animation? Uh, let's say the character does this, sits down, stands up, he waves, then starts walking. Yeah, that sounds like. Okay, so this is where the shirt is a mess. Let's see if you have just one hand. Okay. The T pose once again will have been better because yeah. So let's just download this without skin. We'll move on. Okay, so we have Fab Mixamo. Call this waving. Waving. Okay. Let's go back to our Blender file. Okay. So now that we have these Blender files, or rather we have our Mixamo imports, let me I think I'm free to I can put these ones in folders. Let me put them in folders. Um Trash. Or should I call them backup? Whatever they are. I'm eventually still going to add this current mesh into the trash folder. But let me move this one away first. GX. Okay. So I'm going to import. Let me see. There's a Mixamo. I thought I had it. There's a Mixamo add-on. Hmm. There's a Mixamo add-on unless it is in a different Blender. Give me a minute. Version. Um. Okay, so I have that in a different Blender version. So, what to do? So I think I'm just going to use that in this. So let me save this file, animation AI class. I'm going to save this. And then I'm going to save as. So I'll make another version for 3.6 because that's the 3. Let me just say 3.6 since you can't use dot there. To blend. Okay. All right. So I'll close this. So if I'm doing that so that I don't crash. Um, I don't spoil anything that was supposed to happen in the 4.0 version. Okay, so I'll open that version in 3.6 now. This is Blender 3.6. I'm using this because I had the add-ons here. So there's something that happens when you move from Blender 4 point back to 3 point. I'm pressing N here. My tabs are not working, so I'll have to close out this layout. I have to delete this layout panel. And then to make a new layout panel, I'm going to do the plus, general, and where's layout. So I'm making a new layout panel for drag to front. So this new panel now is the one for Blender 3.6. So here in my Mixamo, whatever, I can import. Let me import what I did. I will import, I believe it was an FBX we imported. I will import an FBX in my downloads. Let me go to the one with the skin. If you remember, we did the T-pose with the skin. So let me show you why I did that. In here, you can see that we have the T-pose. The T-pose was the one with skin. We have 1.1 MB. You have standing and the rest. Now, all these animations do not come with the mesh, but they come with the animation data. You can see they are slightly lesser than this 1.1 MB. It's not a lot, but yeah. Blend pub, we import this. Here is our mesh. People. I will give you a minute. So now I'm going to import my character. Let me hide this. Import FBX. Import FBX. And I want to import the T-pose. The T-pose is the one. I think I imported the wrong thing. Import the FBX of the T-pose. Okay, so this is our object. I think when I was exporting as OBJ, I was supposed to do something as 100, but there's a quick fix for this. So when I'm importing again, import FBX, I think I can do this as 100. There's a hack for it. T-pose. If I do this scale, let's scale it 100. Let me see what happens. Import. Yeah. So yes. So when you are if you export as OBJ and then you bring it back as FBX, you may want to do just test it at 100 might work for you, or 0.001 if you are doing it the other way around. Yeah, but 100 works. So now we have this object as a T-pose. So now why I brought back into my 3.6 is because there is a Mixamo add-on where we can simply easily generate a rig for our character. So let me see, let me go back to textures. This object doesn't have a good texture. In fact, I don't think there's a material here. Let me see. There's a material here. There's no material. So we are just going to get the material of this object. Okay, my blender. I'm going to get the material for this object and add it here. Triple matte. Right, since they have the same UV, this is fine. Okay, so let me save this. So now what this Mixamo add-on does is that if I do I have screencast here? I do not have screencast here. Alright, so you're just going to forgive me. When I go to create control rig, we can leave this as IK arms and IK legs for now. Okay. Now we have this, and then I'm just going to zero out the rig so that it's now relaxed. Okay. So right now, this is our character rigged. we have the opportunity of doing all of this. You can raise the legs. Right? So we don't know, we don't need this anymore. We don't need this guy anymore. Let's put him in the trash folder. Okay, so this Mixamo control rig, you can literally just you can Google it up and just Google Mixamo blender add-on, right? You get there. So there is one for 3 point something version and then there's one for 4 point. I'm just not ready to because there's a place you go in GitHub, right, to get the Mixamo rig add-on. But for 3 points, it is literally in the Adobe's whatever. So now that we have this rig working, let us zero out the rig again. Okay, I'll zero out the rig. I'll go back into object mode. And now I'll start importing the actions. So let me go to import FBX. Okay, I'll go to standing. That's the next one. Import. Let me do GX. Let me move it. It's fine. So this is the bone standing, right? You can see that. Yeah. So now we also have another one. Let us import another one. FBX. I will import another one here. And standing. Where is standing? Standing. So we import walking. Let me move walking to the side. Then I will import the last one. Waving. Waving. Import. Okay. So when I play, right, you can see that this one here, this standing. So I will want to do it this way. I want the character to stand first, then wave, and then start walking. Maybe they are walking up to somebody. All right. So the same thing we did the last time. Let us open up our dope sheet. Then open up the non-linear. So I may eventually change this back to the 4 point something version because I don't have my screencast plugin. I don't have my screencast plugin for 3.6. So sorry for that. So you may not be able to see what I'm pressing here, but it's all still the same. So right now, I'm going to select this rig. I'll select this rig and I am going to select this rig. There's nothing in here right now. So I am going to start taking the the animations from the other rigs. So the first thing we want to do is I want to take the one from the floor, right? This one. So when I select this rig, I can go to frame one here, and then I'm going to source my skeleton for this animation. I'll source the skeleton that I want to get. So I'll click on this eye drop, select this one, okay, and then I'll apply my animation to the control rig. So now it has baked this animation into my control rig here. So you can see now this boy is going to start from the floor, right? If you can see that, he's sitting, or rather, yeah, he's sitting on the ground, and then he stands up, okay, then he stands, finish. So Um, please let's name this. We are going to call this boy stand, or you can do underscore. If you have multiple characters, you can do boy underscore stand or whatever, whatever. Right. I'm just going to call this boy stand. Okay, and then I'm going to push this down. You can't see this in Blender 4.4 here because they mashed these two together inside actions. So I believe this is it. We'll push it down. So in Blender 4 point, let me see if there's a 4 point open. Okay. So in 4 point here, we are going to do that in, let me see if I had this open. You're going to go to action and then push down, right? But you can see they brought it in here for 3.6. So for 3.6, you can push it down directly here. You can do it here, push down. So when I push it down now, there's no longer any animation in here, but it's happening here. Okay, so that is fine. I'm going to untick this, untick it, and I'm going to zero out the animation. Okay, so the character is standing again. Nothing is happening when I play. Okay, and then I'm going to go back to, what's the next one? I want to wave, right? So I believe this is the wave. So I'm going to go to animation here, amateur, select this one. Then I'm going to apply animation to control rig. So I'll call this boy wave. Boy wave. Okay, and then the same thing, I'll push it down. Right, so right now the boy is waving. Okay, so just to be clear, if I untick this and I do boy stand, boy is standing right now. Then the boy is waving. Okay, so I'm going to untick, I'm going to get to the beginning here, untick it. And then finally, we want to do amateur for walking. And it's amateur for walking. Apply animation to this. Okay, so we have a very quick one for walking. Okay. So in fact, I think I want to do one more. Let me do this. Boy walk. Boy walk. Then I'm going to push it down as well. Push down. Boy walk. Okay. And then finally, I'm going to go back into Mixamo. I'm going to download the running animation. Let me get it running. See, this one worked fine. This one looks exhausted. How about this? Yeah, I think I like this one. So remember I said I want to do in place. In place. Okay. So I'm going to download this without skin. Without skin. Then Mixamo. Running. Okay. So now when we go back into Blender here. To be honest, since we already have these three animations for our character, we can just delete these ones because we don't need them anymore. These three rigs, we can delete them X. Right, so let's go and import the running. Import FBX. Here is our rig for running. Import. Okay. So this is the character running. All right. So now this character is running We'll do the same thing we just did before. Take this character, select the rig, use this eyedrop and select this armature here that I want to take, and then we're going to apply animation to control rig. So now this character is running. You can see how quickly we are getting our actions. So we'll call this boy running. Okay, boy running. And then we'll push it down. We have boy running. All right. So now the good thing is we have everything we need to move on. So we don't even need this um whatever at all again. This is control rig. So we have everything we need. Let's take this. I'm thinking I should take this back to, let me see if it won't give us any issues. So I'll save this and then I'll open a new Blender 4.4. I know I have 4.5 somewhere. I do have 4.5, but I've just been stuck on 4.4 for the longest time. So, um, if I open, that boy rig, we still have our animations here. I just don't have that prepared that rig. Okay, so if we take them one by one, I'll untick this. If I do the standing, let me open my screencast. Now I have this boy standing. Okay. So if you want to combine all of this, now let's see how we can do that. I don't think I need this action anymore. This timeline can be reduced a little bit. So we have this. So I've turned on boy stand. Boy is standing from the ground right now. Okay. And then let me increase my timeline. So the next thing I may want to do is to add a wave. So there are a number of ways to do that. I can literally just drag this down here. Okay. Let's see. Is it? Let's see if I can blend this. Which one will be better? So as we learned before, we could start this. Okay, you can see he's just standing. So that's why we said we want to turn off, we want to do combine, right? All right, so we are going to run into a number of, huh, let's see, combine, and then we want to do nothing. Let's see, nothing. So that means when the boy is standing, this boy wave is not controlling it. Okay, this, and then I want to combine it here. Okay, so we may want to blend in and out. So let us blend out of this animation. Okay, it should start showing some things. Okay, so if we are blending out by this number of frames, this is a lot of frames by the way. Let me do it on 0. So the character stands up. The character stands, and I don't think I want the character to be as, once he stands up here, yeah, it's fine. So I want it to end on frame 160, maybe 168. 183 is too long, so I'm going to reduce this to 168 and just type in 168. Now this boy wave, How many frames is he interacting with? 60. Maybe, yeah, 4 is fine. So now you can see everything is fine here up until it gets to this boy wave because the keyframes are different. So now we want to find a way of blending out this one and then blending in this. Okay. So now we have something like this. This is just a quick hack right there. So there will be more fixes. There will be more fixes in this. Character is standing. I'm sure the error will be from this boy stand because he's standing and changing position. So eventually we would like to have a position where the the root of this wave is starting where this one ended. But don't worry, we'll tweak those fixes. So the boy is standing, then starts waving. Then let's just turn on walking. Then the boy starts walking. All right, so the same thing we want to do a combine. Or rather, let's just do nothing for now first. So let's see if replace for this does not do anything. Okay, either ways, this is working just fine. So for this boy walk, I can, since this is a looping animation for this walk, I can repeat it. So let me go into the, where is repeat? Okay, I saw this, if you boy walk, blend out, animation clip, repeat. I want this to repeat 5 times. So the boy is going to, okay, maybe 3 times because this is a lot of walking. You see, I'm doing this on the fly. So now the character now starts walking. So obviously this is going to be a lot of, let me blend out this. If I blend out this, let me blend out this animation. Then I want the boy to blend into his walk. So it's going to look like if there was no blending, it's just going to walk abruptly. If I put this one back on 0, put this one back on 0, you see that it's going to quickly start working. Okay, so but that blending is just going to make them ease into each other. So sorry, I want to blend into the walk. So start walking, and then now we're going to repeat the walking a number of times until we now want the boy to start running. So the same thing we did. So if you have, we want to turn off the hold to either hold forward or do nothing. But generally, I just like it nothing for now. So you see it is snapping. So it is walking and then suddenly starts running. So let us look for where the leg is. This one is starting with the right leg on the ground. That's the running. Running is starting with the right leg on the ground. So let's look for where the leg. Okay, so here is a perfect spot actually. Here is actually a perfect spot. So we want to blend out these two keyframes. Just blend it out a little, right? 2 keyframes, and we'll blend into this by 2 keyframes. So it looks like it is moving from walking to running seamlessly. All right, so now we want to repeat this running also, maybe 3 times. All right, so Here we have the character standing. Okay, then that's walking. Then runs. This is not. I don't know what film this is, but all right. So this is pretty much it. So um you could just have any other tiny things that you want to do. But let me see because I don't like having these kind of errors in my pieces. So this will maybe be for okay, before we do the fixing, I just have to do this fixing. So let's see. If I go to X-ray, um close mode, right? Close mode. Let me see what is controlling. Let me go into the wave. What is controlling? There's a lot. Don't be scared by this. I want to see what is controlling. What exactly is the root here? I don't know what the root is. It is usually the pelvis or the hips. So let me see. The hip. Okay. So the hip position. This is where like attention to details will now really go a long way. So the X position of this. Let us remove all the. Let's hide all the rotations and scale for now. But let's deal with them one channel at a time. So X location. Okay. So this is the X location of this object, of this character. So if I move, you can see the hip twisting. No, in fact, I should have started with this master. Is there? Okay, so there's no keyframe on the master. If we blend from this to this, so I believe if we change the location of these hips, so let's see how these hips end. These hips. So I've selected this boy stand. I've pressed tab. I want to see the position of where the hips end. Okay, so the X position, the value is 0.339 m, I believe. Okay, so let me see what happens if I move all of this. Move it up, G's. Let me see what happens when I move this. Click. I'm right clicking, so I'm not making any change. A. Okay, so I think it's because I've already blended out of this, so that's why I've not seen anything. Hmm. This. Let me do this again. A. If I move, let me do this one at a time. Let me hide all of this because the blending is affecting these animations. If I move this, okay, so you can see that the effect is changing. So the easiest way will have just been to copy all of this animation data and posted them into one so that we'll be able to fix them at the same time. But we don't have flexibility using that method. So for these hips that ended on 0.3397, if I move it, let me see, yeah, why? It was moving before. Okay, this one. Okay. So now this one, we already know where this one is ending, 0.339, right? But I don't think I want it to end here. So instead, this is what I'm going to do. This is a hack, right? This is a hack. I'm going to go into boy wave. I don't think a lot of videos talk about this. I may be wrong, but I don't know. So I'm going to go into this for the X location. This one started on what? 0.001. So I'm just going to copy this. Okay. I'll copy this value 0.001. And then I am going to go back into this boy stand and I will untick this one, tick back my boy stand so that I have only this one playing. So when I go into the animation, where are my animations? Dot. So here now, I kind of want this one to end at, I'm going to delete this, but I kind of want this one to end at something like this, that 0.1. So all of this is happening a little bit too high for me, right? So this is where I want all of this to be. So I'm going to select everything on my A, then I'm going to do GY to bring it down slightly to where this is, like, okay, something like this. So by the time we do that for our X, Y, and Z locations, we are going to have a better blend. Right? We are going to have a better blend. So just ignore the, so this boy wave, let's see if I can even blend it. Because I mean blending should give us a, let's see, very quick blend in, blend in a lot. Then for this one, I want to blend out a lot. Let's see if that fixes any apparent. Well, it does, but it just makes everything look very. So I think even the legs. So let's keep fixing. We are just going to keep fixing. Um, I think this is the point where I even have to do time lapse, right? But essentially, what I'm doing right now is just to get where this one ended, right, and then try to match it to this one ended on 0. Or rather, this one started on 0.133, right? So I'm going to try to get this one to end on 0.133. It is already on minus. So if I say I want this one to be on, okay, what did I just do? I'm selecting this, and then I'm just selecting a random value at this beginning point. Let me copy it. And then here, okay, no, this, this is the Y value. This, I'll copy it, okay? And then for this, if I paste it here, what happens? I don't think it is far off. Or I'm seeing, zero point this minus the Y locations are not necessarily. One way will be to clean some of these animations. Hmm. This, Okay, so let us see if we can fix these legs too. So for these legs, in this boy wave, we want to fix the location, right? These legs are on 0.4 something. Okay, so let's come back in here to this tab. Let's fix these legs. So these legs here are 0.2 something. So if I added this here, okay, so that would mean, let me do it again, this. If I right click and if I shift and I right click here, I can move my cursor somewhere here. All right, so I'm going to undo this and I'll select everything and then raise the leg here. It may look like an error for now, but let's keep going. So we have this. So if we obviously the rotation of the leg is also going to matter. Let me make a new one where there is no, okay, so that you'll be able to see. So now let me fix this. Should be rotation Z. So let me actually get the rotation of the Z. A dot. So right now at the beginning here, if I unhide this, so I think actually the leg was rotating. Okay, so I think it is the animation of the waving that has that whatever that has that movement of going from that has the movement of going from T pose from rather from the A pose to this. Um Obviously if I spent more time trying to get this right. I don't know, did I save this as something else? Let me save this as, let me just do plus, right? So if I revert, let me show you a cleaner, a quicker way, even though it's rougher. If I revert, let me see how far back we can revert to. Okay. Let me, okay. So in this way now, this boy stand. So I've gone back to the original version we imported before. Let me just do this as quick fix. Let me say 3.6 quick fix. So if you're going to go about it the standard way, that's the other way I showed you before, right? And but then you're going to do some cleanups. You're going to know how to use your graphs. So this boy stand now, if I go into tab, or rather if I go into boy wave, tab, let me select my rig. You can see all of this here. I'll copy it A, then Control C. All right. I press tab again. In this boy stand now, I'll go into tab, and then I'll come to this end here, where I want, maybe here, and do Control V. So now I've pasted. But I want to be able to know these keyframes. So I'm just going to do R, and then I'll give them another color, maybe red, right? So I know the differences between my keyframes. That's all. So now when I open this, I'm going to have this stand, stand, and then wave. Let me increase this. So the more I increase, I have stand. We can clean out the animations. Okay, we can also have, let me do the walk now. Walk, walk. I'll select this strip here and press tab. Here are my animations. Okay, so if I do this, A, Control C, then I go back into this stand. Now, this is the one I want to be my final animation. I'll go back in here, paste, Control V. Yeah, I'll come here again. Since I want to repeat this walk 3 times. Control V. Okay, Control V. This is not a recommended way of doing it, but this is fast. We can do R, give it another color, blue. Okay. So now we have standing. Sorry, let me go back here. Okay, so now we have. Let me turn this off. We have the guy stands up. Okay, and then wave. So it was the wave animation that had the error actually, right? And then finally, let's get that running. Tab A, Control C, press tab again in here. Then this one tab, I come here, right? And then I Control V. Okay, so now we are running. Let me see here. It looks like you can see we don't have that much access to how we can blend in and out. Let me give this one a color frame. So let's say I take this and I move it out. Okay. Yeah. So graphs is a mess. So this, I'm going to just take all of this again. Control C, Control V, Control V. Right. So with this method, it's quick and dirty, but it still gives us kind of the same result. But we just don't have the access to blend in and out and other things like that, because right now we don't even need these ones anymore because we have basically blended all of this into one, right? So the good thing about this method is now that for these legs, let me see what I can do about these legs here. If I go into the edit mode, A, tab, rather tab, control tab, I can see where I can basically just blend the legs together. So here the legs are like this, and then now they are here. So if I do this, if I delete all of these keyframes, let me see what happens. So even some things we're still shaking here. Okay, I'll do for the 2 legs actually. So for here, I'm just going to take these two, delete them. Okay, and then I'll take these 2 keyframes, these ones, and then this one, and combine them into, change them into Bezier. Does that work? Does that work? I'm not sure. So we want to stand, and then, oh, you know what? I'm going to leave the legs the same way they were. I'm going to leave the legs the same way they were. Oh, that's interesting. So I'm just going to take the keyframes of when this guy was. So bear in mind, I only have the legs selected. I'm going to take these two and delete them. Mm. And then I'll take this keyframe, control, copy. Okay, so let me see where the keyframe ended. You can see this is just like, this is where it ended, right? 320 29. So I'm just going to take this to X delete. Then I'll take this to Control C, Control V. So now we have this, right? And then now we have this. So let us do that same quick hack for the waist. For the waist, I think I will still want sub rotation. So I need to see what exactly is the issue. So if we have this transition from here to here, actually there's even a, is it Alt S? Let me see what happened. So if I change all of this into, like I said, there are literally several ways. So if I change all of this to Beziers and then I do Alt S, that's to smoothing out all of this, and Shift R to continue. Let me change all of this to Bezier, and Alt S to smoothing out. Shift R, Shift R. Let's see how smooth this is going to be. I mean, yeah, this is essentially, I'm not trying to make, this video is already 2 hours long. Obviously I'm going to find ways to cut it down because I know you guys said you can't watch 1 hour videos. I don't know how I'm going to, this is going to definitely be over an hour, but yeah. So let's just show something else that we can add to this, right? We can decide to, oh, so we need to start doing the move forward, right? So let us say right now character is not doing anything. You can decide to do this at the object level or at the pose mode level, but let's just do it here. Right now we can say, you can do the default position. We set our keyframes here, right? And then we want the character to start moving from here, right? So from here, I, same thing, nothing is happening here, and then the character is going to start moving forward. Okay, I. So right now, you can see now, since we have like a new animation action on top of this one, right? So it's waving and then starts moving forward. So I'm just going to, let me see how this graph looks. So this one, I want it to be, I can either change it to linear or I can change this one to a vector here. So it starts. Actually, let me see, because I don't want any movement. Nope. I don't want any movement up until here. Okay, it's fine. Um, so all of this is just looking closely. Some people have been fine with just leaving this as it is. Um, so we can do the extrapolate whatever, but I don't want to do that right now. So let's just look at where walking ends over here. I'm just going to move this here. So we have this, or rather, since I know where this is, Control C, Control V, C, Control V. I can copy. I'm just copying and pasting so I know exactly where. I'm not sure where this purple line is for. Okay. Control C, Control V. All right. So now, if I had hidden just only leaving the Y, we won't have had that issue. So I just want to maintain that same speed that the character is working with. That's why I did that. So now we have walking forward, and this may even be walking a little bit too, a little bit too fast for us. Maybe a little bit too fast. So let me remove acceleration for now. GY. Okay, so this is fine. And then eventually when the character starts running, I think it's ending on 500. 499. Want to want to copy all of this, Ctrl C and paste it. Ctrl C. Then I'm going to move this one down. G Y. The speed should be different, right? It should be faster for the run, the location. So if we have walking, then the character starts running. So we have this wave, then starts running. Okay. Um. So one thing I think I'm seeing there's something wrong with the wave. So let me go back to before. I can see there's something's wrong with the wave. All right. So I may want to. Why can't I see my? All right. So there's something with the wave. And if I push this one down now, I'm just going to call this move forward. Okay, move forward. Then I'll push this down. Okay. But it's not going to work until we combine it. All right. So let's combine. I mean, I think it could actually well work. Let's see. Yeah, it's still working. Still working. So just check. Sometimes you may need it, sometimes you won't. So for this hold, for this wave rather, I want to do something. I want to adjust this wave. So let's say here, I've done something where I'm fine with the position here, right? I'm fine with this I, okay? And then let's say, um, okay, so it has stopped working. So we'll get into, we'll fix it. Let's put this on. Let's put this on. Copy this and paste it again. Okay, and then I'll just say wave fix. All right. Okay, I think my caps lock is on. I've been making wave fix rather. If I push this down, so interesting. What happens if I combine them? Okay, so this is it. Very interesting. All right. So let's go into this place. Do Alt R. Sorry, not Alt R. OG. This is actually Alt R. If I make this keyframe, you know what? I'm going to do this again, and let's see. Let's see. There should be a way to fix this. So I'm here. I want to fix this hand. I want to fix this hand, and I want to fix this hand. What can I do? I can say, okay, I'll make a new layer. And for this layer, I want to. I like the hand the way it is here. So let me set a keyframe. I like the hand the way it is here. Okay. I don't want to replace. I want to combine. Okay, and I want to do nothing actually. So if I press I here and I here, okay, so I have this, and I want this keyframe here to stay this way, and I want this keyframe here to stay this way. All right, in this layer. So now we have this. But in between this place, I want to move it out a little bit. Okay, so I set on auto record my keyframes. That's why it's doing that. Okay, and then so I'm going to have this. And then if I bring it out again, I'm going to have this. So you can see that has fixed our issue. So if I have this, so it's still entering the body here. So maybe even in this keyframe, maybe in this keyframe, I wanted to like bring it out a little bit, right? So this has fixed that issue. So I'm going to call this wave fix, right? And then I'm going to push it down. So is it passing through the face? So all of these tiny things are just things that you look at and you try to fix one by one by adding more layers. Oh, it's actually going through the face. That's crazy. So okay, so there was a way we had not even fixed. So from here, Let us set this keyframe. I I have. Okay, so we can do I I, and then we want it to remain this way here. I. So in between, we are going to push this out. Here, we want to push it out even farther, so it is not going in between the face. Here, it is also not going in between the face. Okay, so you can see that. Okay, so that has fixed all of our waving issues. So let's say we wanted to add something else, right? Wanted to rotate. Let's see. Let me turn off this record because this can cause a lot of. Let's see. Okay, so let's say we want to let me just do anything. I is going to make a new action for us. And then I want to select this and go to combine, obviously. So from here, I want to rotate the neck this way. Okay. I. So I forgot to do something. So here, I. In between this place, I want to just rotate anyways, make my keyframes. I. So now we are going to turn our neck. You can see that we are just adding tiny things that are right that adding to. So I didn't name it. Let me call this neck turn or head turn. All right, so at this point, I think I'm done with this. So every other thing we are going to do is just going to be a mixture of combining our animations. Let's see. Oh, and then there is also another way. If we did not want to use this move forward, so I'm just going to turn off move forward. All right, so right now we are not moving forward at all. All right, we're still moving on the spot. So if you don't want to use hard-coded or hard animated positions, there is also another method where we could use a constraint. So I know I've talked about constraints before. If you go to, so first of all, let me add a curve. Okay, you may add a path for you guys. We want to add a path. All right, and then in my edit mode, I'm going to rotate everything by 90. Okay, and so this path is going to be where the object is going, where the character is going to move through. So I'll select this my object, go to constraints, and then I'll go to not bone constraint, where object constraints. I'll go to follow path. So I'll follow this path based on the curve that I selected. So right now, this is it. If I wanted to adjust this curve to start from the beginning, I'll just do GX, GY, I believe 2 minus, right? And so I can start editing the curve from here. But either ways, this is what we have. We have this, and then walking, and then running. So we only need to adjust. If I go to fixed position, fixed, and follow curve, I believe it should be minus y, right? So just check some things here. So when I go to 1, it goes to the end of the curve. When I go to 0, it goes to the beginning. So I could do 0 from here. We don't want any animation. until we get to here. So right now, make my keyframe I on my offset, and then by the time we get to, was it 4 something something? I don't think it was up to 500. So 499. Yeah, 499 actually. So I want to increase this to 1. I. So essentially what we are doing is the same thing we did before, but then we are following that curve. Now if we adjusted that curve, let me go to proportional editing here. If you adjusted that curve, okay, if you adjusted that curve, you see that the character will walk along that curve that we've set. So now we have this. So obviously this is too fast for a walk. So this is where sometimes you may need to we need this to, this is too fast. So I'll probably just bring this down. Where is the running? So the running starts from here. So I'll probably bring this down to here. Set my keyframe I. So we're going to have more distance. Okay, so first of all, I don't want any right. So this is a more realistic version of what we are going for. Right. So this way now we didn't need to animate any rotation or anything. All we are doing is using this path to trigger, to just give a guide to where the character is moving across. So we can decide to fine tune this movement because a lot is happening in this span of time. So I am going to move all of this back. Right, so yes, that is pretty much it. I think I should have a full screen. Shift A. Right. Okay. Yeah. So we have this. Let me give my viewport. So I think we are done with this video. I'm trying to just tidy up my play blast. Tidying up my play blast. I want the sky blue. New material. My viewport. Give this maybe a green color. I don't want this to be too dark, but still. Okay, so we have this. Okay, so you can see even here the hand is going underneath the floor. So we could have fixed this. In fact, let's just fix this easily. Since we've done everything, we can fix this easily by, sorry, this is what again? Oh, this is our follow path. So let me call this follow path, just so that we are having different animations. Let me push this one down, follow path. So the one we want to fix now is this hand on the floor here. So here, so we are fine with this up until here. So I'm going to do I, then enters the floor. I don't want it here. Maybe here I'm fine with this I. So let me turn on my auto keyframe. So in between this, I want to move this hand up, right here. I want to move it up and maybe even rotate it my X like this. Right, so we want to rotate it this way. Okay. Z. Actually, even the other part is right. So I think this is fine. Let me let me delete this part. So you can go in and start adjusting. Make sure that it doesn't go underneath the ground. Right, you can try to do that. You see, I'm finding this here. Don't want this to enter inside the ground. So here, you may want to even, since we've not made any keyframes for these fingers, I don't want to edit these fingers yet. So I'm just going to rotate this like this. Alright. Okay, so this should just be a very quick hack. So now the fingers are not entering the floor anymore. So I'm just going to call this fix hands. Okay, and then I'll push it down. So right now, if I turn off this one, if I turn it off, it's going to enter the ground. You can see this. But now that it's on, we fix that. Okay. Okay. Yeah, that is pretty much everything we have for today. I would like to see you guys like to see the work from this. Okay, so you can also see like the more we play, the more you can see that there are errors with the mockup data. But the same way we've done it now, you can start fixing these things gradually. They take some time, but you just need to maybe just put on some music and just observe closely. But that is it. So I think this is what I'm going to use for. This is what I'm going to use for the showcase. Okay, so that is pretty much it. So I have this video. Okay, so you can see this is not a straight line. Yes, that will be all. So I think I'll just show this from different perspectives. I think this is just the best one to shoot to use. Then character turns and then starts running. So that will be all. The files will be available. I'm probably forgetting some other things, and then I'll let you know.